Oh, hey, chat. Explorations for other Tarmogoyf decks to make Magic Boomers happy and historic continue today. We tried Jund, we tried Teamer. Today we are trying Sultai. So we've got a green-black core that's splashing for Kaito, Ledger Shredder, some Drown in the Locks, then some Disdainful Strokes out of the sideboard to give us a little bit of extra counterplay against the control decks. We've got Tracker and Knight as additional threats. Then obviously some discard spells, other spot removal, and interactive bits. So let's go ahead and pop on into some games with this and see how Sultai mid-range feels in the current historic landscape. Bant and Naya Goyf. Is there like a creature company Goyf deck? Probably not, right? Hook my Tireless Tracker, chat. Well, Rahilda's gotta go. Punished. Immediately punished. And they drew the discard spell for Kaito. Brutal. Their 4-mana Planeswalker is better than our 4-mana Planeswalker, chap.
You want to go to... Oh, today's my lucky day.
Pretty good draw. Oh, so this kills the Goyf, but they get to escape Croxa now.
This'll be easy.
Wow, what an absolute beating. That's super unfortunate. I'm not sure if this card is playable.
Yep.
If I'm being completely honest, when I was looking at how we were building this deck, we had people want to see explicitly Sultai, but I'm actually just not sure that this deck wants blue cards. If I'm being completely honest. I was looking at it feeling like, well, maybe I should just have green-black Goyf.
I've suffered worse.
Fatal push off the top, please. Fatal push off the top, please. Ground looked real bad there. I'll take my fatal pushes against their Goyf Croxa deck. Power word kill might be okay too. I'm gonna cut the discard spells. Extra Kaito sounds lovely. Power word kill sounds lovely. Bring in a Soul Guide Lantern for good measure. I think Grasp is good enough here. Yeah, Rhino, the non-disruptive ads or something Twitch has been experimenting with. They seem like a net positive for the platform overall. Much better than full video overlay. I mean, Ledger Shredder is a good playable card, Drunk Owl. One of the best threats added to non-rotating formats in a long time. It sees play in basically every non-rotating format Magic the Gathering has to offer, going like all the way back to Vintage. It's exactly the style of effect these formats like to play. So I'm gonna exile my own Tireless Tracker here because I would like to cling to Dust their Inquisition to draw a card. For those speculating, the audio bug has not been fixed. Just FYI. It just happens on some game boards more frequently than others, and this is not one of the game boards where it happens. Frequently. Cast this now before they can exile in response. For the tier 3 Pokemon nerd, the 53 months. To set a low bar, Goyf has been better than I expected it to be, but no, far from format breaking. It's also kind of interesting / weird that my opponent has elected to board in Unlicensed Terse when they're also a Goyf deck. Feels kind of strange. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a Boseiju the Hearse angle. As little as I want to give them a land, I also just like want to kill them. We'll need 4/5s here and we'll hit them for 8. Well, we know they're getting 2 blockers here because their hand, they haven't made land drops. Their hand is all spells. Once you're like pushing into like playing stuff like that prowess card, you basically just like end up being a bad Phoenix deck, Ellie. Is like what a lot of it comes down to. Trying out to just be a worse version of something else in the format. I like how you said it's Friday. Does anybody want a dad joke? Like you don't come in and ask people if they want dad jokes on all of the other days. That sucks, Tumos. How long is the water off for? I think I'm happy with how we boarded. Oh, 8 hours. That's not too bad. Well, if we draw our second Fabled Passage, this hand, it doesn't do anything, so I have all three of my basics now, but I think this is fine. Definitely just kill that one on sight. That one draws a card every time it hits us. This card alone is probably the reason why the Sultai version is much worse than the Jund version. Only is this an enchantment you get to play in your Tarmogoyf deck, but it's just a cracked card. It's so good. Like, I spent a card to kill the 2/2 that I had to care about, and like, now they get to sculpt their hand and then eventually flip into a second must-answer threat. They don't have a creature this turn. Vomit. We're a little bit behind, but not too far. We get to kill their Fate Reflection. Their 1/1s kill the Vraska, but then we have a Wellspring left over. On a red Squatch. Thanks for the 1.5 years.
Shadows.
Happy Friday.
Ow.
Okay, and that cleans up their next threat. With a removal spell, we have been taking a bit of damage here. Alright, if we can beat a Doomblade for a little bit, the Moose can stabilize the board and give us some breathing room, maybe. They have 0 basics in their deck? What is wrong with these people, chat? Just actual no respect for the game. They're gonna draw a removal spell off the top, naturally. Or a draw 2 into a removal spell, sure. moose loose? The moose is loose, shit. Alright, we get a good top deck ourselves.
Our eyes are everywhere.
I think this trade is great for us, so thanks. They're trying to attack my Planeswalker. Nah, brah, he pieced out. Kaito is literally the peace meme as he fades off into the sunset.
Thanks.
We hold on to the land because we have Tireless Trackers in our deck. Well, at least it's gonna take a while for the hearse to make our Tarmogoyf completely useless.
No big deal. I'll try again later.
One Man Cold, thanks for the 19 buds. Welcome back. Appreciate it. So it's exile their enchantments to make Goyf be a 5. Okay, I'm hitting them for 6 here. Going to continue holding on to the land for Tireless Tracker. Ledger Shredder's another reason to hold the land too. Guess we go after the Planeswalkers next. More walker in the bin. There are 7 cards in their bin, so even if they go to exile them, they still get countered here. What blacks this year? I don't have any double black cards in my deck, right? Yeah, we're Wellspring deck. Push it off of a cliff. Continue to hold the lands to potentially loot to Shredder or for a Tireless Tracker landfall. But it is flooded and died. We're obviously the more skilled magician. Pretty unfortunate beat for the opponent, honestly. Like, they didn't have any utility lands here, and they had what? 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We only had 7. Knight on 1, and then we'll Inquisition tap land on 2. They're gonna also be Mire because we have 2 Shredders to like fetch a tapped land on 1 and then play Shredder on 2 to be able to trigger Hive on 3 potentially. Strict Proctor here is big game. Knight of the Ebon Legion is definitely one of my favorite one-drops printed in the last decade or so. We ended up playing 26 lands in this deck, right? Yeah, of course we did. Draw a Sensor, or are we thinking of marching my knight? Go on, bud. Oh, they just added them, Kraken. They're added in the most recent anthology. Okay, so there's almost assuredly a Divine Purge in my future, so I guess we'll start with Ledger Shredder. This only costs 4 to recast.
Trust me, you'll thank me later.
Oh, we're just super dead. Teferi untaps 6 mana, just actually free. This platform, and it's just pit stain of endless control decks. Really wish Wizards would fire whoever keeps making those design decisions. And I really like my 7. I don't know what I want to get rid of here. I guess it's Shredder. Body is ready for them to redraw their other enabler right away again.
I could sneak right by, but now, what do we have here?
Alright. I got a bunch of gas in the tank for later. We're no longer clueless.
Now this is a juicy secret.
Oh my god, Divine Purge exiles my clues. Holy fuck, chat. Oh god. Oh, has there ever been a more rancid pit stain of a design? In the history of Magic the Gathering, has there ever been a more god-awful designed card.
I got someone on the inside who can help.
Won't hide from the world any longer. Hold that thought.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Do 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 do.
I'm getting too old for this.
Do 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 do.
Now,
Do do
what
do
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 we
do
have
do
here?
do 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 do.
I suppose that's how it was meant to happen.
Feel the energy of battle, then guide it like water. Show them how we greet our enemies. We must protect the
And don't worry, chat. I have this creature land to finish off their planeswalker. Pay no attention to the strictly better swords to plowshares lurking behind the curtains, though. Please, please ignore the strictly better swords to plowshares for my creature land.
I only pick targets that interest me. Lucky being a former assassin is useful sometimes.
I've got all kinds of connections.
Keep watch for intruders. Being ruthless has its rewards.
There's no secret I can't uncover.
I was just taking a second to commiserate this fact on Twitter, but like, The fact that Divine Purge and Farewell both exile all of the clue tokens that Tireless Tracker makes really hammers home in a depressing sort of way how the magic that I always loved playing just isn't a viable option anymore in the world in which we live with these designs. That's kind of sad. Like, it makes me sad. Magic was my favorite game for so long, and it just feels like the way they design the game these days, just, I'm not allowed to play it the way I enjoy playing it anymore. Oh my god, the Strict Proctor stops my clue token generation too. Holy fuck, chat. It's just actually sick, awful, bad beat after sick, awful, bad beat.
Remember your training.
Like, I used to, like, I look back at it, and I used to do, like, you know, 8 or something, even 10 or 12 hours of Magic in a day, and I'd be like, man, I just can't do that anymore, huh? And then it's like, well, the game was just very different when I used to do that. But just the entire experience is different and gone. Era of Divine Purges and Farewells and Archmage's Charms and March of Otherworldly Light. Like, every type of tool you used to have to be good into these decks just isn't a good tool anymore. You want to have counterplay against the sweeper deck with creature lands? Get Marched. You want to grind them out with clue tokens? Get Divine Purged and Farewelled.
I have got new moves to teach you.
I'm just going to be done with this game. Not Magic. We're going to play another match after this, but I'm done playing against Blue-White Control. This is our free match at the rank up point anyways. Just not bash my head into this wall. Oh, my comments about there being game length KPIs, those aren't a joke. They almost assuredly have game length KPIs and balance their formats around them. Things like Cat Oven and Control being decks being hyper popular and supported on the Magic Arena era. Just like, yeah. Alright, so we'll take Thalia. And then next turn we can take the Rafine, and then we can drown in the Loch the Ledger Shredder. I think I shocked myself again here as well, just for the sake of getting another token on my night. Oh, bump up the jam. Thanks for the tier 2 engineer. I appreciate the 56 months. Welcome back. Okay spot here for the time being. Tracker's gonna generate some cards. We'll get to go land, crack, clue, plus draw on the lock something next turn. A piece of candy. Yeah, glass half full, cat oven appropriately fell off the cliff in this format. So it is largely just, blue-white control. That's obnoxiously offensive. I think I cut my planeswalkers in this matchup just because my opponent has a lot of things that attack them down consistently. I think I cut Thoughtseize because of their pressure. I might leave Inquisition in. We need some graveyard hate because they are a what's it called deck? Perihelion deck, but maybe I don't need all of it. You line up the shot, could technically tempo that for a turn too. Maybe I don't want all of these because of their Thalias and stuff. I think I'd rather have Cling than Soul Guide Lantern, but it's close. The upside of Soul Guide Lantern is that it sits in play. You don't have to hold mana up for it. And not having to hold mana up against the Thalia deck is nice. Chuki! Thanks for the 35 months. Welcome back. Appreciate it. Soul Guide Lantern and Tarmogoyf have a tenuous relationship, let's call it. Because, like, yeah, it's an artifact for Tarmogoyf, but, like, it also exiles their entire graveyard, so, like, 6 in one hand, half does it in the other sort of thing. I'm gonna mulligan this hand. Not only is it missing green mana, but this does not count as a 2-mana removal spell because they're not going to have stuff in their graveyard. I think I need some Doom Blades. This hand's actually kind of reasonable, and this can trip. So I'm going to keep it on the draw and hit a black source here. This first, so I don't draw a card. It's honestly impressive how Magic players just like don't understand game design and go out on a limb to just like constantly lick Wizards of the Coast boot. Just I have a Twitter shitter letting me know that it's difficult to manage Magic the Gathering formats today because there's more cards in them now. And it's just like, come on, bud. One, there's always been a lot of cards in Magic the Gathering. Two, it's not that it's too hard to manage, it's that these are the explicitly play patterns they want to have happen. That's why they're designing these cards. Yeah, it's actually funny. That's actually true. If anything, it becomes easier to manage formats with more cards because the bigger a format is, the less cards tend to be playable because of how power levels work, right? I really don't like the kind of argument people make about stuff like Commander being the primary format or whatever, like that's a bad thing. I've got some news you're not gonna like, Magic the Gathering players who fancy yourselves competitive. Competitive Magic the Gathering has never been Wizards of the Coast's primary goal for making cards. Casual Magic has always been and will always be the most popular way to play Magic the Gathering. Commander simply gave a semblance of structure to casual Magic the Gathering, and that's not a bad thing. It's fine that, like, it's just like, instead of saying kitchen table Magic, we say Commander now. They've always designed for that audience among many others. And Magic has long been a game that's trying to design cards for lots of different people with lots of different wants. Even before Commander, you know, there was kitchen table, there were standard formats, there's limited. Wow, they discarded a Skyclave to save the Season All in Wood. You're playing a dangerous game telling competitive Magic players they're not the center of the universe. Oh man, we're gonna have so many shit Magic player takes over as a result of this Twitter post, chat. Here's your next Twitter shitter Magic take. It feels like the game has become less interactive on a post where I'm complaining about Divine Purge and Farewell. It will never cease to amaze me how Magic players substitute the word interaction for cards I like. Divine Purge and Farewell are incredibly interactive cards, and that's why they suck. Like, so many players have it, like, hardlined into their brain for some reason that interaction is good and not interactive is bad. And it just could not be further from, they're too interactive, yeah. Like, you look back at the history of the things people complain about in Magic and say are unfun and they don't like, and they're almost all interactive things. Mono blue tempo. Has there ever been a more hated archetype in the history of Magic than the play my creature, counter all your spells archetype? That archetype is incredibly interactive by definition. But it also feels atrocious to play against because those decks feel bad to play against because they're too interactive. Would I rather have another Tarmogoyf for a tracker? It's kind of close. I think we keep tracker, right? Because I'm kind of under pressure in the air here. And this can help me find a removal spell potentially, whereas Tarmogoyf doesn't race on the ground. Yeah, I don't know that I agree that Farewell is obviously a commander card. I think that's kind of a bad take. Raffine is a very powerful card. I actually like Raffine's design a lot. Raffine is like a card that's like kind of a must-answer threat, but also actually to complement something in current Magic design. I think this card's a great example of a great design because it's a card that you feel obligated to answer or it slowly takes over the game. But the key word there is it slowly takes over the game, right? Like, I'm losing because of this card, but I also didn't lose the game on the spot because I failed my removal check the turn it hit the board. It's a really, really great card in design. Ward is the best keyword they've added in years, not close. Agree with that. Getting rid of hexproof is the only way to like let your threats be protected is just excellent. I have to chump block with my Ledger Shredder here, which is sad. Yes, it is also a design that encourages attacking, which then in turn encourages blocking, which is good. That's a great way to put it, Valid Journey. Ward turned can/can't interact into a sliding scale. That's a great way to put it. All right, well, we can line up the shot on the Ledger Shredder now. Oh, the problem is we're dead to the Raffine though, right? Yeah. I guess they could have no spells, but that's pretty unlikely. This clue push doesn't even do it, right? Yes. The type of cost on ward varying is also great. Agree with that. Like graveyard trespasser requiring you to discard a card versus Raffine being pay one extra is really nice. Big agree. I'm gonna pull in another U lineup to shot over the Inquisition. In fact, I'm gonna cut this and put it on Vraska to his other top end removal spell. I think I shocked this in. Their only one drop is like Esper Sentinel, and I won't want to Fatal Push that and give them a card on turn one anyways, so tapped land goes sounds great. Cat wondering why we couldn't just make a plummet. We could, but we were at 3 life, and their Rafine killed us with that discarding any spell. So you're right. I could kill their thing, but I was dead to their second thing, which I did not have an answer to because of Ward. So Fatal Pushing Season Hollowblade is like never super exciting, but it's technically still a 1-for-1, right? So I'm gonna do this and 1-for-1 them and then attack them for 2 here. And then I'm gonna cast the second Tarmogoyf and my opponent's gonna attack me with a Perihelion and I'm gonna feel bad about it, but the way I win this game is by getting pressure into play before I start holding up Disruption, and I don't think 1, 2, 3 Tarmogoyf is enough pressure, so I'm gonna cross my fingers and clench my butt cheeks here and hope for the best. All right, they didn't have it. God bless. And honestly, I feel super rewarded for my decision to... I feel super rewarded here for my decision to play my second threat out, right? With the Skyclave coming into play. Just like, this was definitely the right choice. Yeah, it would just be, basically I had Stone Cold nothing if we had removal there. I guess we'd have a 2-2 because we'd have killed the Skyclave, but having the Goyf in play is definitely better. Okay, so in response to this conniving, I want to Noxious Grasp it, so that way they don't get to trigger its triggered ability when they discard a card. A Shocked in Hallowed Fountain. Is this Fracture? I think it's Fracture. When we played this deck, we had 4 Fractures in the board. Our Fragment Reality. Oh wait, they're Fragment Reality that one? Really? I thought they were gonna do it to this one because then I wouldn't get anything. Weird, and they discarded a Skyclave to save this. Feels like an odd decision. They knew about our object. Yeah, so this card grabs a random card with lesser mana value and puts it into play. Like to eat your Skyclave Apparition. Alright, so we're done now. The electing to trigger that into me shocking my land in there when they see me play Fatal Push is a bold decision. Yeah, I think my opponent overvalued their Hollow Blade there by a lot. Let's draw Blue Source, huh? I sideloaded Marvel Snap and now I can't stop playing. I mean this as a cautionary tale, and by that I mean you should still do it. But Marvel Snap easily has the most addicting gameplay of any card game you will ever touch. There's a reason why after I played it for the first few days, I was like, yeah, we're standing up a YouTube channel for this, and we're gonna be making content for this. Especially with them undoing their mess up with regards to Nexus events. If they get anything close to resembling reasonable monetization, like, the game's gonna be huge. It's just so good. It hits every checkbox you want to hit for that style of game. I think we just Shredder here. I guess if they like Rafine and attack me with a 3-2, I'm a little annoyed. Okay, so if I Fatal Push the Thalia, I can then play this and then Thoughtseize them. I'm gonna connive in here. Nah, I don't think that's remotely true, Cenotaph. If you understand how, if you understand how many resources it takes to implement features like that in a game, you would know that that's definitely not the case. I just played 2 4/5s here so we can start attacking. The answer is yes, right? Because we just need to erase this Perihelion off the top. I'm supposed to discard a land there to make the Goyf 5/6s actually. Yeah, I'd mentioned that too. If they were intentionally doing something like that, they'd have just cut the price. They wouldn't have. They wouldn't have scrapped the system. If their goal was doing something like that from the start, they would just go back on announcing double wildcards for a format and instead reduce it to the base wildcard cost, even though the base wildcard cost is still prohibitively expensive for most people. But I'm not familiar with any games that would do that. Alright, same board plan. Let's get the discard spells out. We'll bring in some lanterns. We'll cut the Kaitos. We'll get all the Doom Blades on deck. Because, like, and that's the other thing, too. Like, when you look at, even once we have Pioneer, or God forbid, imagine we have Modern on this platform, it's still going to be so impenetrable for new players to, like, actually get into the formats, right? Because, like, your cards come from so many different sets, so you mostly need wild cards for them. And if you're building an entire deck off base wild cards for the most part, it's so expensive. Is the sound fixed? No, of course the sound's not fixed. It's fine. They're just wild cards, Michael. How much could they cost? $50? The sound is going to become MTGA's version of Wall of Roots. God, I hope not. Draw a card here to start. Glad you're feeling better, Martian. Alright, so we hit the power word kill, so we can Ledger Shredder here and then hold up Doomblade for the rat. We haven't played on the Ravnica board yet, so... That's the one that usually triggers the audio bug. So it happens sporadically on other game boards as well, but that board is mostly where it happens. I think we're on the hope they don't have the rat plan chip. Slow and steady, Just John. Slow and steady. I'm gonna shock this in so I can Fatal Push one of the angels if they pair a Hilly on me here. And then we can Fatal Push the other one next turn and potentially attack for a good bit. Red Rover, let Parahelion come over. Take 9 down to 7 here. The Parahelion bounces back to their hand. Even untapped lands a fine draw here. Removal spell would be good as well, though. It's funny because it's sad, Sedative. It's funny because it's sad. Maybe they can't get the Perihelion back into the bin, he said optimistically to himself. All right, game 3 on the plate. Game 3 on the play. What are we exploring later? I don't know. I think I'm through everything I had immediately queued up. The big red deck was great. It's super reasonable into a lot of the good decks in Explore. Man, my internet keeps having spikes this morning. Hasn't fully dropped yet, knock on our desk here, but if you're having some small chokes, they're on my end, then I apologize. I'm holding on to this Fabled Passage here so I could use it to do this. Attack for 2 here and just pass the turn, I think. We'll see what they do. If they play the rat, we'll kill the rat. If they play another thing that connives, we'll kill the diviner. So I kind of want to use this to get a land anyways, so I can't kill both. My Fabled Passage land is dipped. Into Sanctum, make a clue here. If they have another rat next turn, we have Soul Guide to buy ourselves a turn at least. Yeah, for anybody that was wondering about the audio issue. Here we are. think I'm just putting this into play tapped and passing. With the goal of making ourselves clueless again this turn. I can't even fathom what kind of spaghetti mess Arena's codebase is that this bug has persisted for this long. Just like, whatever is going on over there, I probably don't want to know. It's been 3 or 4 patches, yeah. It's been since the Baldur's Gate patch made it real bad. So can everybody look back and see when did the Baldur's Gate cards drop on this platform? Like to attempt to kill your Grease Fang. July 7th sounds right. It was the patch before my vacation. I mean, in theory, all bugs you could have automated testing for. But like, also, this should be a bug they should be able to manually test for in every patch really quickly, right? They literally just queue up a match on the Ravnica board and play a guild card. See if the audio works still. Oh, wow. That's unfortunate. Heartless. I wasn't thinking about Heartless X. So I should have cracked my clue before I Noxious Grasp. So this way, if they Heartless Act again, I could clue again. And then I could have just used Soul Guide Lantern to clear their bin. Tracker playing around Heartless Act is definitely not something that's in my normal play patterns at the moment. It's unfortunate these cards trigger on both players. Because they also get to draw discard here. I get to draw discard twice, so obviously it's worth playing 2 spells here, but definitely not super excited about letting my opponent do the same. Almost assuredly bidding Blooming Marsh here regardless of what we draw, and then we'll see what our spells are. If we find like a Fatal Push this turn, we'll probably push Diviner of Fates off a cliff. Although I suppose their Ledger Shredder is the bigger one. The problem is the Diviner of Fates is like generating them a ton of card advantage. I'm gonna kill their Shredder so I can start attacking them in the air. I don't know if this is right, but I feel like I need to end the game. All right, and they had another Diviner of Fates anyways, which makes me feel better about my decision to kill the Ledger Shredder. They're just going to have infinite cards this game, and we just got to try and kill them before they can get back to their combo. The sound of silence, chat. Maelstrom Pulse would have been nice to draw there. Down to 4 we go. Oh, I need a spell, right? Spell. Feeling dead. Alright, I'm gonna give this one more try, but I think I'm about ready to write off Sultai here. The blue cards really don't feel like they add enough value to this archetype to be worth really messing up our mana base the way they do. I feel like I'd rather just like have more basics and creature lands and like a couple of Field of Ruin. Just like not have Ledger Shredder and Kaito. Jund was good, Solstin and I. Fable of the Mirror Breaker is a hell of a magic card. I'll take their Thoughtseize here, I think. Mind Spike gets my drown, that's fine. It could be right to hold this till after I can play a land right away, because they draw land, they could trophy it. Tireless Tracker has been a really good mid-range tool. It is not the card it used to be against control. Both Divine Purge and Farewell exile all of your clues, which is not a great experience. Even a couple of you line up the shots just for flexibility in case they have random artifacts or enchantments. I love any of these other cards here. Your opponent's sleeve effects still appear on your borderless cards while sideboarding. At least that bug is harmless, doesn't really negatively impact the user experience. What's going on, Thump? It's for the almost 4.5 years. Yeah, I'll let that one ride as a feature, chat. I like that one. That one is an adorable feature. But that one also goes back to the what in the hell does the Magic Arena codebase look like that my opponent's sleeve animation appears on my cards while sideboarding? Like, I would understand it if it was like your sleeve animation on your cards during sideboarding. Because, like, at least, like, that's like the cosmetic on the same object kind of that it started with. But that one is just like, what is going on here? Who did what that this is possible? But how is it cached that it can be on a different game object than it was on to begin with? That's not a caching issue. Like I said, if it was like my sleeve animation appearing when my cards are flipped forward, I can understand that to a degree. But their sleeve animation on my cards is just like... Nah, Thomp, that's... You don't... Area of the screen region isn't really a thing either, and past that, it used to happen on all of your cards, even the ones in the main deck. So, also not really a thing. We're leaving the Fabled Passage in hand, so if we draw a Tireless Tracker, it makes 2 clues. You're out specializing their cleric here. Put up a Doomblade here. It's like one less Doomblade targeting my my other stuff. So, if I want to hold this to Fatal Push the Luris, I can't draw my Wellspring this turn, which is unfortunate. Feeling kind of dead, man.
Now this is a juicy secret.
Have to push the shadow, and then they get to Luris, bring it back. So you'd like a pair of good draws next turn. That was a bad draw, so nice to get to rummage through that one. It's probably all she wrote.
Thanks. I'll be taking that now.
Nah, there's not a lot of damage-based removal in this format, Hutch, so I don't think, like, haha, bolt your 2/3 Tarmogoyf is really a thing that's going to come up very much. AJ Hers, thanks for the almost 2.5 years. Welcome back. Appreciate it. gonna be our last game with this deck, so we'll do a wrap up and then we'll restart the client before we jump to Explorer so we can have audio again for a little bit. It's dead, Jim. You got him. Was told the audio bug was fixed. This must be on purpose. Mood. Well, they know my hand is bad now. They took Fatal Push? I guess it's more efficient. My hand continues to be boop. Ends up being a wash, which one they took here. Yeah, it's on the YouTube channel, Jack. If you're ever wondering if we played something, there are playlists for Explorer and Historic on the front page there. And scroll back on through them. I like the Teamer build more than this one for sure. The Teamer build at least felt like it was doing something kind of different. This just kind of feels like a worse version of the Jund deck. Making her red. You lose life, it deals that much damage each opponent. Okay, so this kills me faster. Okay, we can maybe loot into a spell, he said optimistically, knowing a land was on top. Ooh, a Tarmogoyf. It's a 4/5? Pinch me. Our deck's missing Baleful Strikes. It's definitely missing something. Oh, wow. Wow. Get gut. Teamer Battle Rage with my Death Touch 4/4. GG. Bonus deck's way better than ours. Yeah, this deck was bad. My summary for the Sultai version is just delete it. I was kind of feeling this way when I was like putting it together the other day, but the blue cards just don't add nearly enough value, and there's so many good utility lands in this format that like messing our mana base up enough and playing less basics, less creature lands, less other utility things for like blue spells that are ultimately kind of middling just wasn't a great choice and didn't feel particularly good. So I don't think Sultai felt good. Jund definitely the best of the 3 color combinations we've played, although the Teamer variation also felt kind of okay. The Teamer build at least felt different. And the big thing that's kind of the constant between the two that's felt good in these Goyf decks is Fable of the Mirror Breaker is just such an obnoxiously powerful card that also happens to be an enchantment. So if you missed this deck or the Jund deck, they're up on the YouTube channel. We are going to slide along to some Explore up next.